king has fallen. A father. A friend. A warrior. Defender of the Alliance. He was a beacon of hope. A leader without measure. A man who would never accept defeat. He was our shield against the storm. Wherever he has gone, Varian Rin will remain a hero. Always.
This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Greetings, mortal. Thunder! Lightning! Whoa! That's kind of frightening.
Hey guys, TBK here, and welcome to a very special post-Blizzcon episode of Lords of the Storm. Now, I know there was a big balance patch along with Varian and an awesome brawl released to the PTR on Monday, so I highly encourage you guys to go check that out if you can, and we're going to be going over all that awesome new stuff next week when it goes live. This episode, though, we wanted to share some special stuff from BlizzCon, some community interviews, our thoughts post-BlizzCon on the HGC finals and anything else that really stood out to us, and a very special dev interview with lead character artist Phil Gonzalez. So let's jump into it. Alright guys, hey, I'm here with Ro from Realm Maintenance. Man, the lack of sleep is just like killing my words.
I'm sorry, you said this word sleep, is that Spanish?
Have you not been doing the thing
Wait, you're talking about that thing where you like lay down and you close
close
your
your
eyes,
eyes,
and then they open a few hours later, and
Yeah.
you're wondering why did I even do that in the first place? I still feel the same
It
way.
hasn't happened much this weekend.
Right? Yeah, that's a thing. But why are you talking to me? I do World of Warcraft podcast. Well, okay, it's not just
Because you do the everything podcast.
I do the everything podcast.
And you're just a cool
yes.
dude.
And Heroes of the Storm is kind of an everything game.
It is. I mean, they even said it at the opening ceremony. It's the BlizzCon game.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what right now, Ragnaros, am I right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I freaked out. You got to play him, right?
Yep. I saw Varian being played, and I did not play Varian simply because melee assassin, melee tank is not really my style. So
Yeah.
I had no interest in playing Varian. I'm glad that he's in the game.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's available. I saw Ragnaros, and I'm like, this I got to try.
And it feels like Ragnaros.
Yes.
Because it's not just like major executus or major domo executus or some avatar of flame or something. It's Reg.
And there's elements of his raid encounter from the Firelands, and the elements of his raid encounter from way back in the days of Molten Core. He feels like it is a raid boss in Heroes of the Storm, and I feel that they did with Ragnaros what they still have yet to do with Arthas. I mean, there's
make him epic.
Yeah, there's something about Arthas' abilities that still don't feel epic enough. You got Cindergosa coming down, and which is great.
Yeah, it's cool.
But that also wasn't necessarily what he did in his raid encounter. I mean, I'm like, I want to see a little Defile. I want to see
the Valkyrie, the ghouls.
Yes.
And I mean, there is.
What
some
if you have an
ghouls.
ability of a Valkyrie picks up an opposing player and disables them for a bit? But they really nailed it with Ragnaros, and I'm glad to see that because I think it's them communicating a message to the players saying, we understand, we get it, we need to stick more to the fantasy of the character that
the
we're
fantasy.
introducing.
Yeah, no, that's completely true. Well, dude, I know you have to get to an interview. Thank you so much for taking a minute, stopping by. Have an awesome BlizzCon.
Hey, you too, and by fire be purged.
That's right.
In interviews, I actually had the immense privilege of interviewing lead character artist Phil Gonzalez about art and all things Heroes of the Storm. We talked about new stuff. We talked about some of the stuff the community has been pretty passionate about, as well as a few other cool things. So check it out. Hey guys, this is TBK Zord here with Lords of the Storm, and I'm here with Phil, art on Heroes of the Storm, and we're gonna do an awesome interview, I'm sure.
Let's do it.
All right, so Phil, other than art, so what is it exactly you do? What's the longer description than just art?
Oh man, so Wings of Liberty wrapped up, and we wanted to show off the capabilities of the StarCraft 2 editor, and we experimented with a few new games. We had Iron Chef, Star Jeweled, and what was the first incarnation of Heroes of the Storm. And I got to help make the character models for that. And over the course of the next couple years, when I wasn't working on Heart of the Swarm, I got pulled over to keep doing character art for Heroes. And we made, I think, about like 40 heroes in a couple years.
Dang.
We just blazed ahead. And one of the last heroes we made during that sprint was Varian. And then everyone's like, okay, hold on. This is turning out to be a really fun game. We're liking it a lot. Let's freeze making characters and spend some time to develop the talent system so we have a bit more depth. At that point, they already kind of were gravitating towards the shared experience, removing the store, a lot of that stuff. And so at that time, we kind of doubled back and we started polishing the characters, and I've been doing character art ever since, just doing the base models, helping establish how we do skins and minions, monsters, all that stuff, just figuring out a bunch of those problems and eventually getting to the point where I was leading a team of about a dozen people with a co-lead of mine, and we just oversee heroes, mounts, skins, monsters. Like, we just take care of all character related stuff. We help out by doing some effects models and stuff that as well. So if like Sylvanas is a banshee or something, like we'll make those models as well. Yeah. And that's kind of been my jam for the last 6 years, just helping grow this project up. And I've been a huge fan of Blizzard games for a long time. I used to do a ton of fan art, so Heroes is really just me getting to like do fan art all the time, and it's a blast.
I mean, that's what they said at the opening ceremony. It's BlizzCon the game.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Very
which
much
is so cool. And then you've been with it since the beginning.
Yeah,
which is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's nuts to see where it is now. It's just like it keeps growing. It's crazy.
I mean, I got in back in the tech alpha.
Okay,
like
man, you've been around for a while.
Early tech alpha, and it's not even doesn't even look the same.
Yeah,
as it did in
remarkable.
like back then. It's a completely different animal than it is back then. So.
Yeah, and something I keep mentioning is even when we kind of give you guys a little bit of a glimpse of the chaos where, you know, Ragnaros and Varian are playable on the show floor. I'm like, that's two heroes that you've never seen before, screwing up the mix. You're like, I don't know how to play against these guys. I don't know how to use them. When we're playtesting internally, we have, you know, heroes that are coming out in the spring that are in the roster.
Next year.
Yeah, we're just like, what the heck is this guy? And like... So it's like completely insane, and it's fun at the same time.
Fun, yeah.
Oh yeah, like when the Blade Master was up and coming, it was like, oh yeah. So.
Well, the Blade Master's technically been up and coming for.
Yeah, since
like
the
very
whole time,
beginning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, Kent Eric was very diligent for all these years to protect that suite of Blade Master spells and make sure Mirror Image belonged to the Blade Master, and we got Blade Storm and all those other things implemented for the Blade Master, and he. Hats off to him. He like guarded that chest of treasure for a long time.
Oh yeah. So let's start off then by talking a little bit about the two new heroes, since that's the new hotness, and Ragnaros' case, literally, the new hotness. So Varian, how did you decide the art style? Because his iconic art is the double swords.
Yeah.
Right, and so he's got the big blade, the double swords, and the sword and shield.
Yeah.
Now.
So with Varian, when we did him the first time, when we were talking about him in 2012, we were just like, okay, the most iconic thing is Charlemagne can separate and he can dual wield. I'm like, we have to incorporate that somehow. And then we shelved him, and when we got it back around to doing it, there is always this sense of BlizzCon's coming, and we take much longer on BlizzCon heroes than other heroes because we want to have a great show, and we kind of indulge them. Varian got started in February this year.
Wow.
So it's like he has a ton of development time.
It's like an 9 month process.
Yeah, yeah. And so we invested a lot of time and energy because the heroes we release over the year, they might have a talent or an ability that kind of is outside of the box and needs a little extra work. But with Varian and Ragnaros, it's like, no, every ability, every talent is more work. And so we put that energy into him. And with Varian, we said, okay, at the Vision Sync meeting, like when we're kicking this off, all right, so obviously we're going to do this dual wield kind of mechanic. And like, we're actually thinking he's going to be a multi-class hero. Oh, cool. And then they...
What is that?
Yeah, they more or less, like, you know, we want to kind of epitomize a Warcraft warrior, and at level 10, you kind of get this moment to make a hard choice on your stance, whether it's defensive or the arms or fury kind of vibe. And we're like, that's cool. And we kind of got on board, and we're like, okay, so from a visual standpoint, we need to figure out what this defensive look is, and we're like, okay, let's get a shield design we like and incorporate that. Otherwise, visually, everything's already there.
Sure.
And we're just putting it together, and they did a great job on the talents and the game design. And the biggest challenge was truthfully the animation side from a technical standpoint. He has way more animations than an average character because
he's multi-class.
Yeah, he's got all these different equipment pieces and configurations. You're just like, okay, we're going to have to figure out how to animate this on a very tight budget compared to other heroes, and they still pulled it off. And that's basically the kind of the prompt for Varian. It's like, we want to do this multi-class thing. Let's iron out the technical details and go. And it turned out cool. Like, I've played a warrior in WoW for a long time. I'm like, yeah, this is what I wanted.
It feels like a warrior.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the fun thing about heroes is that you guys, for the most part, do a really good job with the fantasy of making them fit. Like, the demon Vala plays like a demon hunter.
Yeah.
Nazebo plays...
Both those characters.
Just like there's Diablo class. Like
it's funny you mentioned it because we were kind of working on heroes before Diablo released, and we got some internal beta testing, and we got to download a build and play Diablo, and everyone's like, oh, and like just howling. Like instantly, the Demon Hunter and the Witch Doctor were like in the game within that week. It's like, these are the best things, and it's, you know, that same feeling of like everyone's just so on board. Like, I love it.
And I mean, you guys putting Zool into the game basically paved the way for the Diablo 3 class, right?
I don't know about that because they'd kind of for a long time been itching to do that.
Sure.
And we kind of got to scratch that itch a little bit before they did. And
Yeah.
even with our version, we're like, there's so many great abilities in our talent tree. Just
Oh yeah,
doesn't
you
have
can
the
only
depth.
do so many
Yeah.
things in a MOBA type game.
Yeah, so we kind of like had to cherry pick our favorites, but we were very excited to see the Necro in D3 because those guys, like, everything is coming up. It's
Yeah.
some really nice work on
Oh man, yeah, it looks great. It looks
yeah,
great.
he looks cool.
So speaking of fantasy, then let's move on to Reg.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the deep dive panel, and they talked about the many iterations that Reg went through. Like Major Domo,
Yeah.
was it like that? And then you summoned the avatar of Reg, and you only got to play him for a little bit. Or Reg was the core, and then you have the Son of Flame you can kind of move around with. But I know, and they hit on fantasy so much because from a
Yeah.
fantasy perspective, I don't want to play Major Domo. I don't want to play
Exactly.
a fire element. I want to play Reg.
Yeah, and that was the biggest piece of feedback we kept coming back to. And it's hard making characters like the idea of a core hero. We're like, okay, we get it. He's going to be the core. But as Jade mentioned in the deep dive, the presence of Ragnaros missing it hurt us more than the fact that he was even
Because you
there.
don't get to see him until the very end of the
Yeah.
game. And if you're winning, you don't see him at all.
Yeah, and it was kind of like an amplified version of the problem we had with Abathur, because Abathur, being what we were saying, is like a general hero at the time, where like,
Yeah.
he's in the back sending waves. It's like, man, unless I'm seeing those waves, I don't have any sense that he's there. And then they developed the symbiote. You're like, okay, he's participating.
Yeah, that's
Like,
cool, yeah.
It makes sense. And so they were kind of on the right track where there's like, okay, but we want that big moment where he's like epically scaled and stuff. But when he's, all right, we need to get him in the field. So how do we do that? And then the representation is Major Domo didn't feel right. People were like, Major Domo, really? And then
Yeah.
Fire
I only get to play
Elemental-
Reg for 20 seconds.
Yeah, and then they're like, okay, well, what if Rag did move in the field? And you're like, the core is exposed, and it's in the middle of, like, someone could just troll our game and summon our core in their base and just...
That doesn't work.
Yeah,
No,
so-
that doesn't work.
All those iterations they were really struggling with, but I think what kind of helped is when they were playtesting this, they were using the Fire Lord from War 3.
Yep.
And it's like, this guy has functioned as a standalone hero. And they started kind of articulating, like, it's not the worst thing to see him out in the field and having
Yeah.
a state change where he does go Molten Core on a building site. And yeah, that started to work, and they started playing with that. And it eventually kind of manifested properly. But yeah, that was paramount, like that sense that he was just kind of overwhelming you, and he was just this roadblock. Like, we got to get through him or we got to leave. And I'm glad they pulled it off. It made all the sense in the world to go through those.
He's so much
iterations.
fun.
Yeah, he's cool.
So much fun. And that kind of leads into a really good question I had. At least I think it's a good question.
No,
I'm
let's do it.
allowed to do that right now. So Heroes of the Storm has its own particular art style, because we know the Ragnaros doesn't look quite like,
Yeah.
say, the WoW Ragnaros that everyone's used to. Varian looks fairly similar.
Yeah.
But the Nexus has its own unique art style compared to the other games. So what's kind of the process when you're bringing a character from Diablo, from World of Warcraft, from StarCraft in?
Yeah.
Because you can't just one-to-one translate in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
You gotta hero-fy it.
You're absolutely right. And part of when we were making up the art style for the game is we realized there's things that were unique to each universe that we had to kind of mesh together. So Diablo is a lot of practical aesthetic detail, like the straps, the surfaces,
Yeah.
the metals, the engraving. We're like, okay, so we need that kind of aesthetic to blend with the iconic boldness of WoW. So WoW gets a little bit more detailed, Diablo gets a little bit more iconic. We're like, okay, and then StarCraft is a bit more about like a grittiness and like a sense of, I don't know, like weathering. Like it's a very gritty universe, and so we kind of put that coat of paint on everything. And thankfully, Overwatch is kind of easy to incorporate the proportions and stuff. We don't change Overwatch characters that much actually when they come into the Nexus.
The art style between the two seems very very close.
Where Overwatch, we're kind of we're getting a little bit more detailed and a little bit more shading, but in terms of like the proportions, because all of those have to amalgamate as well, and those kind of stay intact mostly for Overwatch. And so yeah, it was just kind of identifying, like, if we do this to a Diablo character, does it look okay standing next to a WoW character? Because
Because they have to look.
Yeah, that's
you have to mesh the looks or want to look super out of place.
Yeah, that's the ultimate fantasy. Is they all have to look like it's appropriate that they're standing next to each other.
Yeah.
You can point out like, okay, those are Diablo guys because they're kind of like geared and stuff, but they don't look out of place.
Yeah.
And that's was our main goal, is that cohesive look. And we were really struggling at the beginning, like Diablo characters with like a StarCraft look to them and stuff like that, where it's like it didn't look right. So when Gazla was kind of the first one. We're like, dude, I just want those red cherry fat shoulder pads. And we tried it out. We're like, let's keep going that way. And it really helped a ton.
That's great. And so let's kind of roll with that too. So you said like Diablo characters, StarCraft. Let's talk a little bit about skins. We've got a bunch of different types of skins. So like, how do you decide what skins to do for what characters? How do you decide the themes? Because I know we're starting to see some themes like come out, such as we've got like our StarCraft type themes. We've got robot mecha themes, which is literally my favorite thing in the world. Like my wallet screams whenever there's a new robot skin, because I'm going to be buying it. Like there's no question. And then you've got the cross skin, like the demon skins, or the angelic skins for some of the other stuff. So what's the process behind that? What's your favorite? And
well, what it's kind of emerging from was early on we noticed people were picking color variations. Like everyone would go green. Like that's cool. And with the skins, we were kind of just trying a little of everything, experimenting. But we noticed when we like added a second mecha character, those guys would group up. We're like, okay, that's cool, and that's why a lot of our skins moving forward are probably going to be a lot more closely tied together in terms of those theme packs.
That's great.
Those color groups, because that sense of unity, everyone's like, pick this mount, and someone's like, I don't have it, and you're like, get it, wimp. And so, thematically, that's kind of what we want to achieve. That's we did a lot more superheroes this year with Medivh and Kael'thas, and we have a guy who is itching to do like a full-blown Wizard of Oz set.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, and so like all those themes are kind of manifesting, and people are like, we want more of those Stormpunk skins, like the Kael'thas one.
Yeah. Do you think of team comps while you're doing it at all?
Yeah.
Or do you just think of this character would, like, I have this great idea for this character and this look? Or is like, let's make a viable comp out of mechs or
we
something?
do get feedback about the comps, and they're like, these characters are getting synergized a lot, and so we'll kind of consider that. And there's a ton of factors, but you're absolutely right. Like, we definitely love that cohesiveness, people getting immersed. One of my most recent favorite ones is I play a lot of Butcher games, and the Butcher list was just like, I was looming over Jimmy Shu, the guy who made it, and I'm just like, I want that spike on the butt, that stinger, and he's like, and so it's like every step I'm like, no, this
it's scary, it's disgusting, it's amazing, it's such a weird blend.
And it's almost like, but that's probably what would happen. And so I love that happens. And those crossover skins are a ton of fun as well. Like I can't wait till ETC gets back in the Marine suit, because it was like an April Fool's joke a long time ago. We actually put it in StarCraft, and we're kind of just like, there's a special place in our heart for that
like almost an Easter egg skin.
Yeah, like it was an Easter egg skin. It became a real thing. We're like, it could be real again. So hopefully, like, I would love to do that. Yeah.
I love a lot of those the theme skins, and that was I used to play League for a long time, and they started doing that, and so a lot of times when you got together with your friends, you would all get the sports one, or you'd all get because they had like a version of mecha or whatever, and so you go in, and that's super intimidating right off the bat. The enemy team sees, oh crap, they're coordinated, they're all robots riding robots.
Yeah, like they got that together. You're like, what is next? Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Huge fan of that. I'm happy to say we're doing a lot more of it. Scarecrow Zool was actually like a last minute, like, we have a Halloween patch, we don't want to send out Val alone. And it was like, all right, I'm gonna work on 4th of July and get this guy done. So it's like, well,
that's
worth
awesome.
it though. It's fun.
Yeah, and you even teased the Diablo 3 skin a little bit
I did.
on the deep dive panel, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It's fun to do that, but PR's like, stop doing that.
Well, then it's gonna ruin my like. Can you give us any more like hints or teases, or is there anything you're really excited to be working on, or anything you really want to work on that you might not necessarily be working on as well?
I guess to kind of frame this the best, because you did mention Brightwing version 2.
Okay, yes.
So
let's get into that because
We get feedback
it's a
about
big thing.
Brightwing version 2 about older models that people rightly identify Arthas as older and stuff like that. We have, unfortunately, it's not ready for BlizzCon, but we have a feature in development where those cosmetic overhauls are going to be a lot more easily inserted into the community.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I can say about it right now, but it gives a lot of hope for things like if we did a revision to Brightwing, there's a huge amount of backlash about
Sure.
we're changing art, and some people like the existing art, some people don't want to see it changed at all. We're going to get an option where it's like everyone can be happy. And
Well,
go
were
from
you the
there.
one who started the Reddit thread that posted that?
I did,
originally.
yeah.
They got like 1 billion upvotes.
Yeah.
As a semi Brightwing main, that made me so happy because I know one of the reasons you posted it. You said this was worked on, and we were hesitant about it because of some of the backlash from Murky, but as a player, it's like I want you to get that out because if that being the base model makes your job easier, so now you can give me more skins for it, because that's the problem with the Brightwing model currently, right? And is there any other heroes that are stuck in that?
That was
state?
exactly why we fixed Murky, because we knew Murky was going to be really a popular, and we're like, we can't kill an artist every time we have to make a Murky skin. And you know, correctly identified, like Brightwing doesn't get a lot of skins because Brightwing's someone's gonna die on that. And the game, you know, at a certain point, there's like we gotta pull the trigger and go live. And people notice there's things like, you know, ETC's face effects haven't been in for a long time.
Or Lily's.
Yeah, like there's characters that are still
Lily's
waiting.
got the demon face.
Yeah, they're still waiting to get up to speed, and you know, we're trying to get there as quickly as possible. And it just happened that like we ran out of time for Brightwing, we got Murky, and we got that reaction. We're just like, okay, we'll put that on ice. But it's just kind of like a matter of time, because the game is gonna keep being built upon, and those foundations need to be solid. And
I mean, if the base is bad, and you
if
can't
the thing
build
you
onto
start
it,
with is
you
bad,
gotta do it. Yeah, you
Exactly.
gotta get it done eventually.
Exactly.
And on the record, it's awesome as a Brightwing player.
Thank you.
I want it right now.
No, I really appreciate that. That was definitely just kind of like a sad violin playing day when it had to go, but like I said, there's definitely hope in the future, and it's just a matter of like when that feature's ready, it'll be really fun to talk about it.
So I've got 2 more little things before we
Okay.
have to wrap up. Someone from our listenership had to have me ask you, are we getting a Dreadlord Jaina skin? Because apparently that's a thing in WoW, that Jaina is a Dreadlord.
Okay.
He pauses. Oh.
Just gotta be careful.
Oh my gosh.
We do have a very fun bundle with Jaina in mind
Coming.
but I'm gonna have to take this feedback back to the guys and let them know, because it'll change. We might need to change direction a little bit, and I'll just leave it there.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for the feedback. Very much noted.
Yes, I know, because that's been a huge just like joke in the WoW community for
I wasn't
a few
aware of
years.
that.
Yeah, apparently it was like Jesse Cox came in for a Blizzard tour or something and wrote Jaina is a Dreadlord on like a whiteboard in their office or something like that. And
Like full blast, hoof, feet, wings.
Yeah, and they left it there, like they didn't erase it, and so it got started, and then Jaina started getting like mopier and like
why hasn't
more
that happened
angsty
yet?
in the game, and so everyone, the big joke this expansion was Jaina's gonna be the end boss of Legion. It's just ridiculous. So
Thank you for. I wasn't aware of that, but we're gonna.
So
take
I
that
wasn't-
back.
yeah,
We're
I
gonna
wasn't-
take that back to HQ.
I wasn't totally aware of the whole backstory of that. Someone just told me that when one of our episodes was going live, so that was That was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, that one works.
And then finally, I wanted to talk about silhouettes. Because this is a big thing, and I wanted to kind of get your feedback, because I want to know how far you guys were wanting to push it. Because I know originally the big deal was we want the characters to look differently from each other, and that was one of the big reasons for the Widow Nova skin over Widow as a character, because silhouette-wise, they're very similar.
Yeah. They're silhouette-wise, when it comes to the gameplay and the testing sessions and stuff like that, things will reach a boiling point with the way things appear. Like if it is too different from the base model, we had that kind of feedback with Scarecrow Zool. There's like people were kind of going nuts internally, like, who is that? And like, we only have one character that has a scythe. And so we have to kind of...
But you'll have to be careful about that. And that was kind of my... I love the skin. The skin looks freaking awesome, but it doesn't necessarily quite look like Zool. And it's the same as, say, the Diablo 3 Diablo. Yes, it's still Diablo, but the proportions and the silhouette have shifted now, because it's the more feminine-looking Diablo versus the big, chunky... I just ate a ton of stuff Diablo and lifted.
The funny thing about that is, if it's a spiky demon and you paint it red, people just click and say Diablo. And so every now and then we kind of have to take a step back and see how it's reading with the color and everything too, because the Butcher and Stitches, we had the same problem. And we're like, okay, Stitches will only ever be purples, blues, stuff like that. Butcher always has to be these warm reds, yellows, oranges, and that helped. But it also backfired because the Butcher has these really visceral, gritty skins, and Stitches is a bunch of silly skins. And I'm like, I want a Stitches and Death Knight armor, and they're like, ooh, that's scary, that's too hot. And I'm like, we need to get to a place where this can happen, because I love playing Stitches, and I'm like, I want a skin that's scary.
Or an evil mecha robot Stitches.
There's just that point where we have to be able to do something
because it's true. He has it's all funny. Even his master skin he's wearing a freaking crown.
He's just being a goof.
He's got a bathing suit. He's got a chef's mustache. I didn't realize it. But other than the Chainsaw Massacre Stitches, but even something about that is just kind of a silly aspect to it.
So we finesse it a lot more. And I think with Widowmaker, the game designers kind of really looked into, will we ever put Widowmaker in the game? Will we have this problem if it's really Nova versus Widowmaker? They're very thorough about that. They think about it pretty hard, and it's nothing that's done on a whim. It's a lot of consideration.
And that's really good to get out there, because a lot of people when that came out were just up in arms, how could you not have thought about this? Look at all these kits you could have made out of it. Blah, blah, blah. It's yes, but the silhouettes, I guess, is going to be the same regardless of the kit. So. Yeah,
and I guess to kind of wrap it up, a lot of people said that when we did the Medic Uther skin, we might not ever get a Medic, and that is definitely not the case.
And you made it happen,
Yeah, we have skins that have kind of, in the community's perception, stolen the chance for other characters to emerge, and that is definitely not the case. We're going to have another situation like that in the future, and it's going to be okay. So
good.
I wouldn't rule it out completely. Everyone hears that feedback, and if it's the best thing for the game, we'll make it happen.
Awesome. Well, Phil, thank you so much
for
absolutely
taking time. Great questions. Thank you.
Yeah, great insight into the art stuff. Great teases. I'm super excited for whatever that bundle ends up being, and I'll probably buy it instantly.
Man, what an awesome interview that was. I really hope we can get Phil back on the show sometime to talk some more Heroes of the Storm art with us, maybe after that Jaina bundle gets released. Well, now, guys, we're going to turn our attention to the actual Zords as we talk about our HGC experience, some of the other cool takeaways from BlizzCon, and what it felt like to be there live.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back. On this part of the show, this week we're just wanting to talk on some stuff we didn't get to hit on in our mini episode live from BlizzCon. So first up, the big thing that I guess you could say happened between Friday and Saturday was the HGC. The HGC Global Championships did come to an end, and we did have our winner Ballistics from Korea take it away. And surprisingly, it was not a Korea versus Korea finals. I guess surprisingly, but not really at the same time, because holy cow, Fnatic destroyed MVP
Mind
Black.
blown.
We were actually, Ryan and I were up doing some interviews, one which you've already heard with the wonderful Phil Gonzalez. And during that time, we found out, Fnatic is up 2-0 versus MVP Black, and we were able to get down there and finish it off for the last two games. But
I was down there
actually
watching it, though.
Yeah.
Caught the whole thing.
Lucky.
I was a little scared, honestly, because when I was up in the interview, I looked down at my phone because my wife is watching these games from home, and she's texting me, "Oh my goodness, this is insane!" And when she's texting me that means, "Oh my gosh, why am I missing this game right now?"
Yeah.
And so, like my mind, I was almost like, "All right, Fnatic, maybe just lose one, so I can come back and watch you finish it off." And lo and behold, they obliged.
That's exactly what
How
happened.
kind of them.
So, Multi, why don't you kind of take us through the first two games there? Was it, when I hear 2-0, I just immediately think like, dominance. Were the first couple games close? How was the feeling on the floor down there, being able to watch it live? What was the crowd's reaction?
The crowd's reactions were electric because going into these matches, with the Korea versus EU, everyone just kind of thought that Korea was going to walk all over them. And you could instantly see the crowd get behind the EU team. And it was just, until you get there and actually get involved in being at an esports event, you really don't have a full grasp of what it's like. You really don't even, until you see a live event like this in person, understand how close it is to sports itself. That surprised me. I mean, this was not only my first BlizzCon, but my first chance to, go to an esports event of this magnitude. And yeah, I mean, every little move that goes on, any play, any little gank, or I mean, certainly the team fights, any team fight going on, and you just hear people going nuts. So that part was cool just by itself. I wouldn't say it was dominant either way in those first two matches from what I recall, but man, they were fun matches to watch. For sure.
Absolutely. Well, yes, so Fnatic took that, and then we went on, and the finals was Fnatic versus Ballistics, excuse me. And that, man, like you said, the atmosphere and the crowd there, both North American teams were out, so I think naturally at that point, everyone just kind of came, I don't want to say anti-Team Korea, but it's like, Europe
or pro
is,
Team EU.
Yeah,
they were clearly rooting for Fnatic, and so that's why, like, in the lost games when Fnatic lost, the crowd was cheering and stuff, but it wasn't near as just intense as the Fnatic win was in that series. For sure.
So Fnatic went down 2 games pretty quickly, and with this still being a best of 5, they were kind of on their last leg here. And Game 3 was on Warhead Junction. And holy cow, I think that
best game I've ever seen in my entire life.
if that,
hands down,
if it doesn't as a whole go down as the best game in Heroes thus far, at least that boss fight up in the top lane right there. Although it was such a cluster that it was hard to even tell what was happening. There were 3 or 4 nukes launched, and 9 deaths.
Yeah,
in this
that's
thing.
what was fun though.
Mind-blowing.
Was seeing the cluster for sure.
Yeah. So that was one of the top things when they were showing the replays after the game. They didn't show that. And who was it?
For some reason.
Well, I was talking.
Don't understand.
I was talking with Blizzard employee there, Mike, who was actually in charge of selecting the replays. This was in the Hilton afterwards, and he said they wanted to do that so bad but they couldn't, like, there was so much going on, it was just a cluster, and they couldn't, so they had to pick something else. But yeah, he's like,
too complicated.
he's like, we're on over the radio. He's like, guys, can we show this? Can we show it, please? Can we show it? And they're like, nah, there's too much going on. So it was, incredible, and the best 60 minutes or best 60 seconds, I think, as Garrett Weinzierl tweeted out, of Heroes thus far, which I completely agree. And they were able to come back, take that game, so it was 2-1. However, Game 4, they fell, and Ballistics becoming our BlizzCon HGC champions this year. So huge congrats to those guys. I actually got to go into the press interview afterwards, and while I had recording between the noise still in the hall, and then some of them talking really quiet, some of them talking loud, it was just a mess, and I couldn't get that.
There was a lot of noise.
Yeah.
I honestly, and I kind of want to echo Multi on this. It's because I watched the HGC finals last year from my virtual ticket, you hear the roar of the crowd, but it doesn't do it justice in any way, shape, or form to watch it on TV.
No.
As opposed to just being there. Like, being there, I was getting pumped up from the people getting pumped up. And honestly, my voice is still recovering from all of the screaming I did.
My whole body is still recovering from the entire experience, I think. It was probably something I ate, though. Tons of breakfast sandwiches and cheeseburgers. But anyway, no, yeah, I'm completely with you there. I don't know what it is. Maybe the streams of tournaments going on don't capture it nearly as well as perhaps watching sports on TV does. But again, this felt like I was at a sports game.
Yeah,
for sure, and it was incredible.
And
it was packed.
Yeah,
not even all the way back, just so full.
And they were dedicated, because by the end there, Weird Al had started up actually on the main stage. So the people were staying for Heroes.
Well, and they actually had
a lot too.
They had other stages playing the championship match as well, because people couldn't see from standing anymore. I know they were playing it on the Overwatch stage screens, but and going back to the fact that the audio just can't capture it on stream. It's not just the audio. It's so much like a sports game in the fact that, like, when this moment happened, this boss fight, everyone is like jumping and screaming and high-fiving each other, and just holy cow, everyone has goosebumps. It gets nuts real quick.
Each kill was like a home run.
No,
toward
seriously.
The finals. It was insane.
Fix that real quick. Yeah. So, but I went into the post-game press interview. It was not as in-depth of an interview, just because them having to have a translator for each question, and some things lost in translation. But overall, the guys were very humble, super excited to win. Going back, we talked about expecting the Korea versus Korea final pretty much. They even admitted they had planned their strategies out around playing off against MVP Black, and while that didn't happen, they went into this without really changing their strategy, because that's what they had practiced on. And in the end, it worked out for them. But they were impressed by Fnatic's play. I tried asking them to just kind of take me through what the emotions were of that boss fight, and they were just kind of flabbergasted by it and said, you know what, Fnatic, that was something they needed, and they had it was do or die for them, and they were able to pull it off. And I believe, there's other people that have that press interview. I know Josh was there from the Score Esports. If you guys, I'm sure you can find that stuff other places as well. But anything else on the Global Championship you guys want to mention real quick?
I know that, and this was kind of what I saw in Ballistics, because at least it appeared to me in a lot of the MVP Black videos, MVP Black was not just confident; they seemed fairly cocky.
Yeah.
Just from, and I mean, this is just from their video stuff, but they did. I mean, these were the guys that said, we're gonna 6 to 10 minute games, Dignitas, and do a bunch of that type of stuff. And so to see Fnatic take them down like they did in fairly convincing fashion,
felt a little bit almost like Retribution in some ways. And yeah, and there's Multi with his MVP. They handed out these cool little MVP light up things. So of course we had to get them. But yeah, so those are kind of cool. But Ballistics just overall, even from their videos and stuff, they had confidence, but they didn't have the same sort of cockiness that I got the vibe from of MVP Black. And so that made it much easier even when they won, because it's just like, especially like you said in the press conference, they're super humbled by it. They were super excited about it. It had been something they'd been shooting for, and they earned it. They totally earned this because they were the best team, even though Fnatic did some stuff that no one thought possible. And that was the one thing I was talking to a few people the day before when Fnatic had their series against Zero Panda, and it ended up going 2-1 in 3 ridiculously close games that could have gone either way. I said, I'm really glad Fnatic won, because Zero Panda, I feel, would play the game straight, and it's very hard to play the game straight against Korean teams because they will outplay you if you play the game normally. You need someone like Fnatic who does super weird things and are in some ways kind of unpredictable. And I like that because that added, I think, the element they needed to beat MVP Black.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
And I guess my last thing would be, while the HGC last year at BlizzCon was also awesome and super fun to play, overall, just the level of gameplay between all these teams has increased dramatically. So
Totally
that, and especially with the new system we're going to have next year, hopefully getting more players, more stability between these teams, it's just going to take it even to that entire new level. So I'm super excited for that, and gonna have make sure somehow, some way, I figure out how to afford to get myself to BlizzCon next year.
Yeah, I hear that.
It's like an addiction. Like,
I
have
told
to
you
go
guys.
now.
I told you.
Pretty much, yep.
It is, once you're in, you are in.
You're hooked.
Yeah. One last takeaway I have about everything, though, is that it was pretty clear when everything was said and done that although the crowd had been cheering for Fnatic pretty much throughout the final series, everyone was able to acknowledge that Ballistics was just the best team in the world. And it was kind of cool to see the crowd cheer at the end for them. It was sort of a shift in the energy, but it was nice. It was kind of everyone just collectively saying, you know, these guys played phenomenally, and we had a great time watching them. So, yeah, I thought that was nice as well.
Yeah, that is not like regular sports in that regards, because that's
true.
World
Yeah.
Series. Like, the loser of that team is pissed and super angry, and everything blows up. But in this, with the way things are in esports and stuff, that is really nice to just be able to be like, okay, you guys played a hell of a game, congrats. And like I said, they were super humble about it and thankful for the support they received from the crowd. So the other thing, we kind of touched on this on Friday, but we didn't get too in depth, was the State of the Game panel. I know we had mentioned the possibility of like Hero League going to single player only for potentially this next season, but they're wanting to test it out for a season for sure, and then Team League going to 2, 3, and 5 players. But there was a lot of information in this panel, and I actually just got done recapping it again because there's so much stuff going on at BlizzCon. It's impossible to get things the first time, which is why the virtual ticket is awesome. And if you guys didn't catch,
it's a beautiful recap.
It is, and
I'm looking at it right now, guys. It's beautiful.
If you guys did not, for some reason, get a virtual ticket, you can actually still buy them and watch all this stuff. So matchmaking was the first thing they talked about. And one of the interesting things a graph they showed was win rates considering and not considering hero levels. So not account levels, but hero levels. And it's actually much closer to that 50% line when they considered hero levels going in. And that's simply, due to the fact that, you may be a really good heroes player, but whenever you're trying out a new hero, you're not going to be as good of a player. So they talked about, wanting to kind of go more that direction. But I don't know, what's your guys' opinions on that? Because do you want to be playing worse people just because you're playing a new hero? Should that truly be affecting who you play against, or should you be playing against people of your skill, period?
I would prefer to just have our own flat skill rating and not have the whole heroes thing play a ton into it. I mean, if it does a little bit, maybe, but I'd like to think that I'm able to hop in on someone fairly new and pick them up with at least decent speed to get at least enough down. I mean, it depends on the hero, obviously, and whether their playstyle syncs up with mine and that sort of thing. But you know what? If I don't feel comfortable on them myself, I would just typically get into quick matches with them anyway for a while. So, although I know this plays into that as well. I don't know. I feel like I kind of don't mind it the way it is, and I'm hesitant about this change. What do you think, TBK?
This change where you can look at hero levels has to, at least in my mind, unless you're looking at the overall hero level, they have to be doing this for quick match only.
Yes.
Because because quick match would technically, other than like AI or whatever, quick match is the only one where they know what hero you're going to be using ahead of time.
Well, that's true.
Because you're already matched with the people once you hit unranked draft or hero league or team league before you even pick your heroes. So I assume this is only talking about quick match. But if that makes quick match more even, heck yeah, I'm all about that.
Okay. Another thing, so ranked play matchmaking, previously, I believe it was a full 5 rankings that you could get matched up with. So say if you were gold 3, you could be playing with up to silver 2s or platinum 4s. And they've actually condensed that to no more than 2 rankings now. So
I think this is only for solo queue.
Yes.
Because as far as I know, you can still queue with somebody who's a full ranking above or below you. But I think that if you're solo queuing, that's the constriction now.
And of course, it will only be solo queuing, at least for a season coming up here. So that's good.
Right.
I'm very interested in that season.
Me too.
I feel that could be I could be totally wrong, but I feel like that could be a really big deal. And I feel like that could be a season where I go in and you come out of it saying, wow, I mean, I did this on my own, quote. I mean, you did it with 4 other people, but you didn't have any like duos or anything changing the results. It was just you and 4 other single people playing your game.
Yeah.
So with some of these changes that they've been making, queue times have actually been affected. Both have increased just because there's more restrictions. Quick match up to even 50%, while Hero League up to 200%. So they are working on getting those down, but not wanting to still lose quality of those matches. A new thing they introduced, which TBK kind of touched on Friday here, was the personalized stats, insights to individual performance, comparisons versus personal history, comparisons versus similar players, and specific match conditions. And these are those new badges kind of talked about where, Kerrigan, the average got this many takedowns per game. You actually got this many, so congrats. You did better than the average Kerrigan. Woo!
Which that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I love this.
That would be pretty cool.
Is it? Do we know just for positive things like that though? Would they also tell you that you died 47 times on Kerrigan?
Didn't they kind of hint that they would in some way, but they had to be careful on their wording or something?
Yeah, they said and with all of these things, because even if it's a stat, just comparing anything, they have to be really careful because they don't want to be like, "Oh, you sucked." Like these are supposed to make you feel better.
Congratulations,
10 more than the average.
It's going to get down to the point where it's just like, congratulations, you finished the game. Yeah, we don't have anything else to say.
Wah, wah.
Really exciting news. Haunted Mines is coming back, guys. And there are some big changes. Yeah, there are some big changes to this. So first and foremost, golem spawns have changed. Instead of pushing one lane now, it is going to rotate lanes just like Brax's holdout. and they will always spawn from a fixed location, so they will no longer rise from where they were killed. It's going to be a fixed point, and they're going to push from there. There's going to be merc camp changes. The mine layout has been reworked. There's now 4 entrances to allow it to be easier to get down there without getting ganked. Skulls are going to be more evenly displaced in this new layout in the mines, and then the boss is going to be in the middle, the very middle, instead of kind of tucked away in a corner. So it's going to be really interesting. They're super excited to get this back out there. I'm super excited to get it back out there. And Sylvanas will still be a problem on it, just like she is Braxis holdout, but hey, it looks awesome. So
I'm excited for it, although I kind of liked the uneven skull placement previously. I love just diving in there and going for middle left and left lane. It was fun. But no, this does make sense.
Here's the question. Do you think they'll leave old haunted mines on custom, or do you think they'll just take it out completely?
Probably just take it out.
I see them taking it out, and then maybe when there's more options in custom matches to change stuff around, I don't know. Because part of me says, well, like, why would you want to do that? But then, like, when we did the Heroes Charity Brawl,
why would
we
you
were
want to
able
lose
to have,
content?
yeah, we were able to have that race because that golem only pushed a single lane. So,
I would like for them to leave the old one in custom just for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the new one will almost assuredly go into Hero League, Team League, Quick Match, Unranked Draft, and whatnot.
Right.
And apparently this thing has been under like play testing and tweaking and stuff for a really long time.
Yeah. The other reason I see them I can see them not putting this back in there just as a company, because that opens them up to, if people can compare those 2 maps now head to head still, they run the risk of people saying, oh, this new one sucks compared to the old one. Whereas now,
well, and it's hard.
Yeah, it's one of those decisions.
What if you do another map rework? Do you have to leave the old version of that into?
All of these are reasons why
I
don't think they will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The progression system updates. As far as
this was your big thing.
This was my big thing. They didn't really answer they kind of answered my question, but not really. So right now it's level 20. They agree that hero levels are too grindy. They're actually going to uncap progression. They say it might not be like a legit, there's no hero levels, but they're like, it'll be like 999, so something that would take forever to hit. Hero level requirements are going to be lowered. They said they don't like how long it takes to level up right now. So, they said they want it to be like 3, 4, 6 hours to get a level instead of like the 13 hours that it is right now. They're wanting more frequent rewards, which kind of answers my question, as far as like something that with every level instead of every 4 or 5 levels right now. And then, so they didn't really want to get into what those rewards are going to be, but they said, we have all these things as far as skin tints, mounts, stuff like that. So we'll see. I don't know.
That's kind of cool, because they basically did just open the door and say, hey, we might have tints or mounts or skins as rewards.
Yeah.
Because one of the big things they pointed out is, hey, people like cosmetics. We've got a lot of cosmetics. We're working on a lot of cosmetics. And as you heard through the dev interview just a little bit ago, they've got tech incoming that will, in his words, make people happy for both the old stuff and allow them to do new stuff with some of the models. So that kind of stuff could allow them to possibly crank out more skins, more tints, just more customization, cosmetic stuff faster. I don't know.
This feels a little bit like Overwatch to me, just in the sense that your account doesn't really have a cap of a level, and the further you progress, the more cosmetics you unlock. Mm-hmm. It's got similarities. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. And as far as account level, they're getting rid of the level 1 through 40 right now, just because it doesn't really, at this point, most people are level 40. So it doesn't really mean anything.
It just doesn't mean anything,
They're making it to where your account level is just your total hero level, which is already in the game. You just have to kind of go find it in your personal profile. So now that's going to be right up there, which that's going to be there's going to be some crazy numbers because I know I've seen screenshots of people who have all master skins and stuff. That's going to be nuts.
Well, there's a screen that somebody that I think Dustin Browder retweeted that had everything at 20.
Yeah,
Really?
That is
Like that. I mean,
That's insane.
Mind blown. Like that is a lot of investment.
Yeah, it's over. Their account level would be over 1,000 right now. That's nuts.
Yeah. Now, when they reduce the hero level requirement, are they going to weight it in such a way to where an account like that would get an extra bonus for having everyone at 20, for having put in all the extra time? Because to go from 10 to 20 after the change will take a lot less time than they put in. I feel like they should maybe be rewarded for that extra time that they had.
I would assume you'd get some legacy rewards or something.
Yeah.
Because I agree.
That'd be
like,
cool.
If I got all the heroes to 20 and then they just changed the system and now everything's at 20 and there's a cap of like 99 or 999 or something like that and everything got streamlined to a, I need to play 20 games or 30 games or whatever to get them up the next level, then that wouldn't make me feel super good.
Yeah. And for their final kind of thing they talked about in this panel, their further down the line panel, which they actually said is the stuff we probably shouldn't talk about panel, but I'm going to anyways. So hero swaps are going to be coming in draft. TBK also got to ask a question in the Q&A as far as, we have the HGC drafting system right now. When is that going to come into the client? And they are working on all this stuff. It's initially going to be put in custom games to test it out before it makes its way over to the actual ranked play and unranked draft. Battleground rotations. They're wanting to get ranked play to a pool of 6 to 7 maps, and which I thought was about what it would be. But what's really interesting, I kind of assumed that would be that rotation for an entire season. But they said they're wanting 3 to 4 map rotations throughout a season. And this is interesting because while I personally like that better, as far as for competitive play, that kind of messes things up and we wouldn't see as high level of play because we might have a map rotation 4 weeks out from...
Well, and it's disconnected from HGC because HGC is going to have their own map rotation.
Yeah.
That does not affect Hero League and Team League. So like this upcoming season, Blackhearts and Garden of Terror are taken out of the HGC map rotation. And they said, I think there'll be a new one mid-season switch after that big international mid-season brawl clash thing. So in some ways, I would like Hero League, Team League to mirror HGC, but I know the season lengths aren't the same either, so that kind of makes it difficult.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, in that case, my point was completely null because I completely forgot they had even already announced that pool for HGC, and I'm okay with it, I think. They're wanting to integrate the new Blizzard voice chat into game to make it easier for whenever you're doing Hero League and stuff to just get that voice communication. Party Finder, and this was actually really cool. They're wanting to make it more intelligent. Right now, it's just, this person's looking for a group. They're wanting to make it to where you can say, hey, these are the type of game modes I'm wanting to play. And then even, this was asked in the Q&As, possibly saying like, hey, I want to play Hero League, but I want to play this role just to get those teams so people aren't fighting over it. The problem with that, though, they said that's something they want to look at, but that has the potential of increasing queue times, which is a balance they're going to have to find something. But if they can do it, that would be awesome for Hero League.
Interestingly enough, on the PTR right now, you can go to the auto select and actually choose more in-depth what role or hero you want to play.
In the auto select? So like you can be like, I want to be a random hero, but like make it an assassin.
I want to be an assassin, or I want to be a warrior, or I want to random one of these 5 heroes.
Okay, that's
and I believe
awesome.
5 was the minimum that you could select, but I believe that's on the PTR right now.
That is very cool. And then the last thing they briefly mentioned was clans. It's something that they said we've been suggesting for a whole time as far as the community. They're really wanting to get it in there, but it's that's pretty much all they said. They're working on it. They want it in there as much as we do, but that's all.
I wanted them to say more on it. That was one of my going into it. That was one of my biggest things. It's just like, give me clans / more team league structure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Social features are always good. I think there's a cry for it in a lot of Blizzard's games, frankly. So it'll be great to see it when it comes into Heroes. Do you think we'll have to wait all the way till next year for a big announcement, or do you think that might come between now and then?
By the info that they gave in this, I would say it could very well be next year, next BlizzCon, before we actually hear about a clan system. And then
hoping mid-year.
Yeah.
Please.
So then they went into a Q&A where we got a few questions asked here. For PvE content, somebody asked if they thought that was a cool idea, if it would ever be potential, and Dustin said they like it, they're excited for it as a direction, but not sure when they'll get into it. But there's a ton of people working on Heroes who really want this to be a thing. So that's not confirming it, but possibly confirming it down the line.
That's exciting, though.
Yeah, and that's something we'll see in Brawl before we ever see anywhere else in game. Because that's what Brawl's for. It's a testing ground. There was another question, exploring options for when someone leaves the game. And one thing they're considering here is loss forgiveness in ranked play. If somebody disconnects at the beginning of the game, and the kind of the way they laid it out was how long were you down a player or two players. If it was a majority of the game, they're thinking about potentially just making it where that loss doesn't affect you. If it was just part of the game, then at least the penalty not being as harsh for that, which is, I think, kind of a step in the good direction there. So
this is something they could really do for if they really do keep Hero League as being solo queue only, because then you're guaranteed to be in a solo queue situation in which nothing tricky is going on. But in Team League, say you're 5 minutes in and someone on your team freaks out and just thinks you're going to lose and unplugs his internet, you could try to dodge a loss in that one. So say you think you lost the draft and you don't want to eat the loss, just unplug the internet. I'm sure these are the kinds of issues they're running into with this. But for the Hero League solo queue, that kind of thing would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Somebody asked if there is different ways to spend gold because they have over 100,000 of it. I'm kind of in this same boat. I have about 80,000 right now. They're looking at options, but nothing that they can discuss at this time. So, I would love to.
Yes, but no.
Yeah, I would love to see them make other skins optional to buy, but I would even be okay with them being, more expensive as far as what the current gold to dollar ratio is. Even if you increase that to 1.5, just because they still want you to buy those skins, but hey, I don't have anything to spend gold on right now, so
they should develop a system in which you can give me all your gold, or better yet, I can take all your gold.
Or maybe let's gamble on games.
Gift you gold.
Let's gamble on games. Yeah, and let's not just make it gold. Let's do pink slips for heroes. 1v1, winner takes the hero. Let's do it. They asked if they were had any plans of creating more of a HOTS logs type thing for personal stats in game to replace HOTS logs. They specifically said they do not want to replace HOTS logs. They think it's a great website, but they are looking at getting more stats in game, just so you don't always have to go out of your way just to find up some stuff. Queuing for specific roles in ranked play. I had mentioned that the party finder, that's kind of the direction they're going with that, but again, looking to not increase queue times. And then the last thing, giving older heroes more love, a la Murky. And Dustin Browder said they did 19 reworks last year, and there are more on the list. He did not specifically say anything about Murky yet, but I have talked to people who said Murky is in the works right now and getting some love. So no timelines, though.
We got 2 more reworks that just came in. I didn't realize how many reworks they had already done. But now we've even got on the PTR a Karazim and a Zeratul rework.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And Artanis, kind of. Not really a rework, but the new stuff he can do is amazing.
Yes, he can now phase prism while dashing. which
So
is
cool.
insane. They even showed a little video in the presentation. I think we might have mentioned this.
Yeah.
But to show off all the silly, ridiculous things you can do with this phase prism now that he's got it, it's gonna raise his skill cap so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Or skill ceiling at least.
Skill ceiling, yes.
But yeah, do you guys have anything? As that's going to do it for the State of the Game panel. Anything else you guys want to say just about, especially your all's first time BlizzCon experience? Multi, you got anything? Any last?
I do. I mean, it was nothing like I imagined it would be. I've done the virtual ticket the past 2 years, and at times watched everything that I possibly could. And actually being there on the floor, being in the crowd, seeing just cosplayers going around and just all the people, meeting, frankly, so many people. I almost lost track of all the people that we know through either podcasting or in game or through our community here that we got the chance to meet. That in itself may have perhaps been the most fun out of everything, just getting to finally put some faces to some voices and that sort of thing for sure. But you know what? All in all, I'm with you, TBK. I'm hooked. I want to go back next year. I want to go back now. Let's go tomorrow. It's cold here. Let's go back where it's warm.
Yeah, the post-con blues setting in. I actually haven't even. I'm still emotionally recovering. I haven't gone back and started posting any of my pictures and stuff yet, just because.
No, me either.
It'll make me sad. So within the next couple of days, I'll get to that. TBK, how about you? Any last remarks for BlizzCon?
Mostly, I loved it. It was something that was amazing. I want to do it again, like ASAP. I want it to be 3 days long because
really
I didn't feel like I had enough time to do everything. But honestly, like more than half of the enjoyment I got out of it was meeting the people.
Yeah.
Just getting to meet the people at Calm Before the Storm, getting to meet the people walking around, just all that stuff. It was so fun, so insane. I absolutely loved it, and I just want to do more of it. It's just great. We just have an amazing gaming community. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for kind of this section here. I believe we're going to get to some more interviews here from BlizzCon. So enjoy those, guys, and we will see you all live here at 9 p.m. Central on Twitch for episode 90, 10 away from the big 100. So thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
As you can probably tell, we had a pretty good time, especially it being mine and Multi's very first BlizzCon. I'm absolutely hooked, and I can't wait to go again next year. But we weren't the only ones who experienced it, of course. There was a lot of other people there, 25,000 or whatever, insane amount of people. There was just people everywhere. It was amazing. It was insane. And I managed to grab some of the people from throughout the Heroes community during some of the HGC games to talk to them about Heroes and about the games and get their thoughts on it. So check them out.
What is that?
This is a recorder.
Oh,
isn't that awesome?
I thought you were taking like PKE readings or something.
Guys, I'm here with Kyle and Ryan, the other Ryan. What would people probably know you more by though?
Probably Cattle Prod or Cattle Wow. I'm the Heroes of the Dorm WoW guy.
Yeah, and your GIF just recently got updated.
It did.
You got a high def WoW now.
Royalite put a high def version of a new Vine up there, so it's pretty nice.
Freaking awesome. So what do you guys think of BlizzCon so far?
Loving it.
Insane?
My fourth one. It's crazy.
Oh, your fourth one?
Yeah.
Dang.
Absolutely insane.
I need to catch up. So anyways.
Yes.
So anyways, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of all the announcements and stuff? Did you get to play Rag and Varian yet?
I did. I just played both.
What'd you think?
Rag's fine. Even if you can't get a fort, Rag's fine. He's fantastic.
He's a little strong.
You can, if you take the enemy keep, use two of your abilities on the core. The Rune Explosion and the Rain.
Yeah, the hammer can't quite reach it.
And that ball, that living rolling rock or something.
The like 4 or 5 meteor drops.
Yeah. The fact you can get a level 1 quest talent that redirects it. So if they don't walk along with it like you will with Gul'dan, and everyone's going to.
It's like, okay, fine. I'm just going to redirect it towards you again.
Or you can just drop it on the building and then roll it back on the building before it leaves there. Oh, wow.
Well, and it's one of the things I found out, it's got the range too, so you can actually drop it at the edge of the range and point it backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Alarak, so you got the little...
nice.
We're all going to be playing with touch screens by the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's got a lot of potential. Even more so than corruption or telekinesis, really.
Did you see the Varian level 1 quest where you have to...
The triple quest?
Yeah, the triple quest.
Yes.
And you get 30 damage. I don't know if that's worth it, but it's pretty awesome.
But it's such a WoW thing.
Yeah.
It's like, quick, go finish 3 quests on this WoW character, and we'll give you a tiny reward.
It's so quick, though, that parry. You got, what, 0.75?
0.75 seconds on the parry.
That's not a lot, but...
Well, and I like that it's that short, because that'll make it super skill-based.
Yeah.
Which will be nice.
It's about catching 1 or 2 attacks.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm here with John Jagger, and we're in the middle of an HGC about to start the finals. Dignitas just got taken down. Fnatic steamrolled MVP Black, and now it's going to be a Fnatic Ballistics finals. Man, John, what are you thinking?
I could be more excited, but I'm pretty excited. I'm about half excited.
You were hoping the other EU team was getting
I wanted a Europe versus Europe
Oh my gosh, that would have been so
That would have
hype.
been great, because nobody would have been expecting it.
No.
But you know what?
No one was really expecting this either.
No.
To be completely honest.
And Fnatic won me over, and now I'm 100% rooting for Fnatic.
Oh yeah, and they looked good.
They looked
versus MVP.
really good.
Holy crap! What's been your favorite thing so far this weekend?
Seeing the new heroes, and honestly, the matches we've seen here today have been just top notch. It's been really good.
Like, I feel like we're gonna run into the closing ceremonies, and I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't
Forget
care at
it.
all.
I don't need to go see it. I need
No.
to see this.
I know.
I need to know how the story ends.
This is the hype right now, especially since it's not a Korea versus Korea final.
Yes. We thought that's what it was going to be.
How
Everybody
awesome.
was so sure that was what it was going to be.
And how awesome would it be if Fnatic actually took this?
That would be the best.
It's cool because Dig actually took a game off Ballistics, so we've seen they can bleed.
Yep.
Ballistics can bleed, so maybe Fnatic, they've already got the taste for Korean blood. I'm using very graphic terms here. They're like
That seems like a questionable way to say that, but yes.
Vampire maybe.
Yes.
Analogy.
Yeah.
But no, it's gonna be good. So you gotta check out the new heroes, right?
Yes.
Which one did you like more?
Ragnaros.
Oh yeah.
It's hard not to. I know he's a personal favorite of yours.
Yes.
So I know I'm pandering a little bit. But
you can pander away, John.
He's just so fun.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He's so fun. And it sounds like on Monday everybody will get to try Varian on the PTR too.
Yeah, and you know what? Varian's great. I don't mean to make it sound like he's bad. It's just Ragnaros is really, really good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, John, thanks so much. We're going to watch these games.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be amazing.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do it. All right, dude. Take care.
Yep.
I'm here with Kristen from Heroes Forge.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Oh my gosh.
There's no audience. Just say hi back. You can say hi back at home.
It's okay. They can say hi post audiously or something like that. So we're here at the HGC finals right now, and you've been watching these games too. What do you think? Like, is this not hype?
This is incredible, especially now that we're whittling down to the final 2 teams. Fnatic has been absolutely on top of their game. And what we saw with this last one, we are in probably for 5 games, I would imagine.
I hope so. I mean, that would be the best way to end this. And we saw Fnatic take down MVP Black 3-1. No one thought they would do that.
It was, a lot of people thought MVP Black was going to be the top player and was just going to take the tournament. But like I think you were saying yesterday, Fnatic brings a certain spice to the game that I don't think MVP Black expected.
They bring this weirdness that some of the other teams, you can't play a straight game against a Korean team and beat them at their own game. It's not going to happen. You got to do something weird, and Fnatic does that so well.
Exactly. We saw so many times they baited out Black, and Black had no idea what was happening before it was too late.
Yeah. Oh man, so we're super hyped now. This is going to be an amazing series. So have you gotten a chance to play the new heroes that were shown?
I did. I
What'd
got
you
to
think?
play them this morning. I love them. As cool as Ragnaros is, Varian is my man.
Varian's your deal?
my man. His ability to tank from afar.
Oh, something's happening. So that the crazy cheering was Fnatic has some of his parents. Some of the parents of the Fnatic players are actually here from Sweden.
They are, and last
So
night
hyped.
they were in the front row.
I know his mom gave me a Fnatic bracelet.
That's incredible.
How sweet is that?
That's wonderful.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Varian's your dude.
Varian's my dude. Like I'm saying, his ability to tank from afar with the slow and then the jump.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
It's so good. I think he'll be good main tank material if he's built right, for sure. And he's going to be playable on Monday.
He is. He comes out so soon. It's incredible how fast they're coming out, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I shouldn't try them, but at the same time, they're right here, so why not? So have you tried Blackheart's Revenge yet?
Oh my gosh, it's so much more fun than Hammer Time. It's like the Punisher Brawl, the first one.
Very much, very much. I thought the attack was great, but the defense, I was so confused during that one.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were winning or losing. We ended up winning, but
Oh, nice.
I was confused
Good job.
as how that happened.
That's great. Well, Kristen, thanks so much for taking a second to talk to me.
Of course, thank you so
watch,
much for
let's
chatting
watch
with
these
me.
awesome games.
Yeah, go Fnatic.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, this is TBK again, and I'm here with Josh Burry, aka the Throne Gauntlet, and we are here. It is the last night of BlizzCon. Everything's kind of over and wrapped up. The Heroes finals are done. Man, absolutely insane stuff. Josh, I don't know, Josh. Like, these are probably like the craziest games I've ever seen in my entire life.
They're definitely some of the best we've ever seen, and I know that Korea is maybe not the most loved in the West, but I was really happy for SC, and Noblesse to finally have a BlizzCon championship under their belts. They came pretty close last year, and
It's kind of a tearjerker almost, like,
yeah.
Because you were at the press conference where they talked about, like, what were some of the things they said? I know I saw you tweet out some of the stuff, but it sounded like they're pretty heartfelt, like, oh my gosh, I did this, I can't believe I did this, or I came in like saying I needed to do this type stuff.
I think SCSC specifically said that he felt like after they went out in the semis in 2015 that their fans were very disappointed in them, and I think that when you're I think they were the only Korean team at BlizzCon last year. So when you think about it that way, I think there was a lot of pressure on them, and in the end, Cloud9 sort of played the mind games correctly to beat them. So yeah, I mean, if I were SC or Noblesse, I'd be upset with myself, and I would understanding that my fans were upset with me too. So definitely a moment of vindication for them. The rest of the roster is completely new, and they did drop a game to Fnatic. But I think that speaks more to the strength of Fnatic than it does to anything else.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So, who was your who was the team that really stood out the most to you, and why is it Fnatic?
I mean, I think it sort of has to be Fnatic because we expected Ballistics to be in the grand final.
Yeah.
And we did not expect Fnatic to be there.
No, not at all.
I think the thing about Fnatic is they've always been a team that in the right circumstance can rise above the sort of level of preparation that they find themselves in. And part of it, I think they've described themselves as an emotional team in the past, and I think that fits very well. If you look at I would say I would point more to Quacknix. As a very emotional player. I mean, Breeze gets emotional, but I don't think it affects his play as much when he does so.
He's seems more emotional after the fact. Yeah. Like in his the big freak out celebrations or
when shots are being called to, obviously we know the whole Kale Foss.
Yeah.
But no, I think that I would probably point to Quacknix and maybe Smexy a bit, actually.
He's
Smexy
improved a
Smexy.
lot. He just had some incredible support plays.
But
good.
I also feel like he does play a bit emotional at times, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like people assume that when you're sort of an emotional player, it's a bad thing, and I don't think it is, because when you start winning games, sometimes you can feed off that. You can feed off that energy, and I think that's arguably what happened to Fnatic in the semis, is they were able to convert some pretty important victories into more energy, more victories, and they, if not for that Game 4 draft in the grand finals, I honestly think they could have done it.
Yeah, they could have done it. And it's something that Caldor actually said that kind of stuck with me, that when Fnatic is having their good day, no one can beat them, type thing. And that didn't hold true necessarily for the grand final, but that certainly held true for MVP Black.
Yes, it did. And I think what you see a lot out of Fnatic, and I think that quote from Calder is really good, because what you see a lot from Fnatic is everybody steps up individually in a big way when they feel that energy and when they're winning. I already talked about Quacknix. I feel like Spexy Style is the same way. Arguably, of the team, I feel like Whoopi is maybe the least emotional, but this is just sort of my perception of him as a player that I've seen. He always seems very consistent to me, and seems maybe to have the least variance of all the players on the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they really feed off of winning, and beating MVP Black is huge, obviously. I mean,
The first game you could just tell snowballed into the second, and almost really into the third as well. It was pretty crazy.
I think if you want to define 2016 as being the beginning of the modern era of Heroes competition, in the sense that 2015 had very different sort of qualification systems for every region, as well as the fact that there was only one seed for Korea.
Yeah, which was a pretty big deal.
Yes, it was. And so if you want to look at it that way, that 2016 is the beginning of modern sort of Heroes play, then I think you have to look at this victory by Fnatic to get to the grand finals as a really big accomplishment, because Korea has been dominant for all the season, and they have a lot to be proud of. I know that no one likes to be second, no one likes to lose, but Fnatic was not the team that boot camped in Korea.
No, they weren't.
They were not. And
the team that boot camped in Korea ended up with a third, fourth.
Yes, and I do want to point out one thing again, just quickly going back to the press conference. I think it was Nacho Jin that one of the players of Blessed
It's
said,
late. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sure it's on Twitter, but one of the players said that they had scrimmed Fnatic the most since arriving here, and that actually was very interesting to me, because it shows to me that Fnatic did their homework.
Yeah.
They took a game from them. They seemed, I don't know where the hammer draft came in, but at the end of the day, I think Fnatic was ready. I think maybe they didn't expect to be here, but once they got there, I think they were ready to play. So a lot of times those scrim partners are decided because you think this is a team that will be beneficial to you, but you won't play very soon.
Yeah.
And in the end, they played at the very last possible moment they could.
Oh yeah. No, it was insane. So before we wrap this up, what did you just think overall of BlizzCon? Was it amazing?
Yeah.
I know you worked a ton.
I was working for most of it.
How many interviews?
It was 28. 28 total interviews.
Oh my gosh.
But this was since I did 2 on Tuesday when I got in, and then I did the rest of them.
Yeah.
But it was a great BlizzCon. I think if you were a fan of certain games, you might be less enthused than others. Really excited for Heroes of the Storm. We got the big esports announcement before BlizzCon, obviously. But really excited for Varian. I think we need more heroes that can be sort of a double threat and be a question mark in the draft. So I'm really excited about
that'll
that.
make it really interesting.
Obviously, you're really excited about Ragnaros.
Just a little bit.
So that should be cool. And I think the future is bright for Heroes next year. So the fact that they announced the esports plans in advance, I'm totally fine with. The rest of it, Overwatch was incredible. I think Overwatch has a very bright future.
Yeah.
I love the new Hearthstone set. I got a chance to demo it with the wife. And
cool.
It was great. It was really interesting. So yeah, I think the future is bright. And the best part about BlizzCon for me, this is only my second BlizzCon, is coming back to BlizzCon, meeting all the people that you met last year, or that you've interacted with on Twitter since then. And honestly, you just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
And that's
a lot of what makes BlizzCon special is the people.
Yeah, for sure. You meet a lot of interesting people. This year I had an opportunity to meet many interesting and far more important and relevant people than I. And they were all really great interviews. A lot of people took time aside to speak to me, or just spare a moment of their time, and that's super helpful. So it was a busy BlizzCon for me, but a very satisfying one in the end.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Josh. Appreciate taking time.
Yeah.
And get some thoughts out. And I'll let you get to bed.
Well, that will about wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining us on our special post BlizzCon episode 89. We'll be back with our regular format next week with all the new reveals, huge new patch, and more in-depth variant impressions. So be sure to check that out live next Wednesday at 9 CST on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm, or of course the audio on Thursday morning. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can join us in-game by typing /join LOTS, or you can also join our Discord. The link will be in the show notes at lordsofthestorm.libsyn.com. You can find us on Twitch and Twitter at Lords of the Storm, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. If you would like to email us feedback or questions, you can do that at lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And we absolutely appreciate, we love 5-star iTunes and Stitcher reviews. If you get the chance to leave that feedback, we'd be very grateful. Also, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Lords of the Storm. If you would like us to support us in that way, we amazingly, hugely appreciate our patrons. You can also find us individually. You can find Gizmo at Gizmozord, or on twitch.tv/Gizmozord. You can find Multi at Multizord, or at The Cavalry Show, his Overwatch show. And you can find me on Twitter at TBKZord, or on twitch.tv/TBKZord. Special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Zord, for helping support the show. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and we will see you next week.
King has fallen. A father. A friend. A warrior. Defender of the Alliance. He was a beacon of hope. A leader without measure. A man who would never accept defeat. He was our shield against the storm. Wherever he has gone, Varian Rin will remain a hero. Always.
I'm getting my revenge by destroying those docks, and you're gonna help me.
Blackheart's closing in! Stop that wretched ship!
Guns! Get out there! And don't let them fire those cannons at me ship! We're getting close. If I had a tongue, I could taste it. You can't stop the undead, Commodore.
Go and gather the cannonballs quickly. I want to hear those cannons thundering. Your revenge is in shambles, Blackheart. Vengeance denied.
I'll be back.
If our enemies demand war, then they shall have it. Your defenses are nothing. You will break. Come and see why they call me Logos. For the glory of the Alliance. Behold Ragnaros!
Before the Fire Lord! Sulfuros will be their end!